Hello and welcome back to Kino-Plays, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Let's go. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on... Wait, what? Okay then! He's just gonna butt in now. Interesting. Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant. What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. God damn, he turned into a Zapdos again. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone. So, what's your excuse, writer? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is that true? Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make a wrong decision. Dude? Evidence law. This piece of evidence has not been approved by the police. It can't be used as evidence. Not unless he's going to claim that he's approving it right now. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Well, we cannot show evidence because it's not legally allowed to be shown. Your Honour, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief Gant. You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lorna. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lorna. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, but when she saw the scene she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Skye? I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body, then move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lorna arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for? A fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lorna to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept 1 more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, writer. Cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Yeah, because I can't present it. Didn't say I didn't have it. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. No, it's too late to show the evidence now. Besides, even if I did, it just exposed that poor girl's fingerprints. Right, think hard over the circumstances. I thought I was. I thought I legally can't show the evidence. Maybe I'm supposed to say I can and then show the evidence book? The evidence law book? To say that legally I can't disclose it? The circumstances? I'm talking about then and now. There's one major difference between the two. Weren't you waiting for that difference? Hang on, I'm going to reread that term. I'm not sure if that's the way. Ah, right. Yeah, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Yeah, we can do that. But doesn't it still need to be both? Don't you need to submit? Don't you need to match both rules, or is it just an and/or system? I mean, the big issue for me was that it's not been approved by the police. That's why I can't show it. Yeah, maybe as long as it matches one, you can do both. You can do other. Yeah, I suppose you could say that it has been given the approval of them because the chief of police is telling us to. Yeah, fair point, Emma. So, Edgeworth figured out my plan. Mr. Wright, this is your only chance. Your Honour, I do have evidence to present now. All right then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. I really thought I was going to have to present the book, though. It's weird. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at least you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honour, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean? It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Bullshit? I mean, if he was unconscious on the ground, and she's unconscious, Gad could just grab her wrist and slap it down on there. But also, who's to say that when she pushed him, he didn't get impaled at all? But Gant, seeing the big handprint on his chest, went, "Ooh, I can use this," and impaled him. You're as slow on the uptake as ever worthy. What? Think about it. Writer had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. All according to Cake. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... Emma Skye. What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, you're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me? So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Skye. You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offence. No, dude, because Gumshoe was with us when we found it. But you fired him, meaning he's not a police officer, so he couldn't give me permission to show it. You didn't give me permission to show it. No policeman did. Until you demanded it, and proved that it was in the same safe as the jar and everything else, it wasn't connected to this case, so I couldn't show it. Hey, bitch. Well, yeah, we do also... The picture does also type, but specifically the fact that he said that it was from then, and couldn't have been at any time before then, that ties it. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Can't your tongue. Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a little girl into a murderer. You tell me, bitch. Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh? What's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. Hang on, I want to check something to you. Yes! Oh, I was just about to say it and I was right. The fact that it has no fucking blood on it, Tomo, means it was removed before he was impaled. Oh, you screwed yourself there, bitch. What? A contradiction. What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good long look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Yeah, exactly. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it. Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. This is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And to make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. It's finally all over. Oh, that was close, Writer. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Order. What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Rogie? Earlier, old Writer here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Writer? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honour, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defence did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Did you actually think you could beat me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth. True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright. It seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? I admit I refused to present it at one point. Ha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Eh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Finally, we get to use the book. This is my proof, Your Honour. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. You had Gumshoe's approval? Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh, yes. Oh. It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. And more laughs. Holy crap. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned it down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then, all of a sudden, he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor I didn't realise my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. It used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecutor's car aside? How? How could you get Miss Sky involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So, you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker? I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jaw fragments in the glove. Yeah. Looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've gotta hand it to them. They do the jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals? I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day, you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try and go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Odgie. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. The fuck? I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator, and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Odgie. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Raito here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. Huh. I guess we're never going to find the sword, then. Or any explanation for its involvement. Then again, oh, never mind, because she was lying when she said that she found the sword in his back, so it doesn't even matter. Though it still doesn't 100% explain the scene that Emma drew. Maybe I was right, and it was Marshall standing there with sword and he just smacked the guy round the head with it to knock him out. I don't know. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. In my tell-all interview with Time magazine, I'm gonna make bank. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. Yes, she'll make stonks and stonks of cash. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My... What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Holy shit, she can smile! I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye? And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, You rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye. Yes, Your Honour? You are innocent of murder, however. Although the Chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honour. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honour. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Speaking of heavy chains, that actually fits in really well with the sequel. Because in the sequel, we have either Maya or another psychic with us. And when we're questioning people, she can see chains and padlocks for their psychic defenses, for what they're hiding away. And we have to ask things in certain ways to unlock those chains to get more answers to question things. It's a really interesting mechanic that they have going in that one. But we're definitely not playing number 2 immediately after this. Not after so many hours of this. It's going to have to be a few games in between at least. It's going to be a while before we play one of these ones again. Though I do want to play through the games. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lorna Skye, not guilty. That is all. This court is adjourned. Yeah, that is something that I have absolutely loved about doing this on Tomo. It's really allowed you and anyone else who wanted to put in any feedback to be so much more involved in the game than any other game I've played so far. I would love to be able to have the chat having so much more feedback in the games, but a lot of them don't really give me options. I mean, like, generally speaking, the most I could do is, like, let you guys choose the name, or, like in the Stick of Truth, you chose the class for me. I need more branching route games where I can have you guys make the important decisions for me. Because it's fun that way. It's fun to let you guys choose things. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh! Emma's upset that her sister didn't thank you. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. I've never heard of Dick Spear, Demi. Might be something to look into. Yeah, maybe there'll be other games we can find that we can do things like that. Preferably ones with a little less voice acting, so that we can get to them a bit quicker than this. I mean, this game is supposed to be like a 20-hour game. This is our 44th or 45th hour of this game because of the voice acting. You know, I did my best too. But Lorna didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Here, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nah, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Oh, thank God, I really... Considering he just said it wasn't because of Lorna, I was really thinking he was going to wheel in the blue badger to give us one last creep out. Lorna! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you. I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago. I think Heavy Rain's only on PlayStation demo, I'm not sure. And I think that involves a lot of quick time events, doesn't it? So I don't know how much control you'd have for making decisions. It was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realise I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realise it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologise. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. That's cute. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why mustn't we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful place. It is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth? Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I've never played the Professor Layton games, Tom, and I don't know what they're like. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth? Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. Yeah, they both killed people. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Yeah, it's right, but generally speaking, he can't do that as a prosecutor. Because usually he's trying to get a guilty verdict and I'm trying to get an innocent verdict. That shit ain't gonna fly, except in cases where someone else is the actual murderer. What the hell are you trying to say here? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. Where's this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright. Show him what Lorna's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own? What? I don't know what we could... This? Because... Oh, yeah, the evidence list itself. That might work, Sherman. It's the only thing that we each had, anyway. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. I think that's the first time I've actually presented the correct evidence at one of these things. I think all the other times I've shown the wrong thing, haven't I? So we never actually got the true explanation ending bit. It was just a meh. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me. There are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what'll you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember. You can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. Funny how both the law book and the scientific book have childish drawings on the front of them. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she ain't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. No, what he said is, well, I won't say anything if you don't. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? What, you think I can afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Now, is it going to be like last time where we're going to be... Yep, we're going to be talking to people throughout the credits again. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to... Shit! I hope she'll be pleased to stay under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Ah, here we go again with the rapid-fire voices round, Tomo. Oh boy. Although it doesn't seem as rapid fire as the last set of credits so far. Yikes. I thought I was a goner for a minute there. In the end though, they overlooked me unauthorised investigation of the chief's office. If we penalised you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. Just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Yep, the 10th Doctor is still working there in the office. I didn't have the accent right on point that time. I was a bit off on his voice. It didn't sound right to me. Probably because I was rushing it. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of something. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show him though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like that dick gumshoe. Don't think that was quite as squeaky and nasally as I did last time. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I think that was more what I sounded like before. Ah, stop showing us that thing! It's such a monstrosity. It moves so creepy. And we still... The handprint never had anything to do with anything. That really... Yes, it died! Hooray! It really annoys me that that handprint had never came into play whatsoever, even though we've got a fingerprinting kit. I really wanted to investigate whose handprint that was. I was sure that was going to be important. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown, partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this into me. She's seen one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina here something. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Oh, yeah, Billy's his cactus, isn't it? I really hate these auto-scrolling text bits that I can't read because it's too fast. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer's as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Yeah, why the hell does he have a knife in prison? It's because they couldn't be bothered to change his animation for that section. Well, at least we know it's a gay game. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left. Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better... oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. The fuck? Do 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 do. Oh, hey man. Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Mayor, afternoon training has almost begun. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. Yeah, that's one of the locations for the setting of the next game, Tomo. That's why I was saying to, was it Kexi yesterday, that it's going to be a bit weirder considering this game was localized to have apparently been set more or less in Los Angeles. Even though it was so blatantly Japanese for most of it anyway. I don't know why they bothered with that sort of localization. Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth, I brought your tea. What's going on? You've been given a pink slip, mate. Fuck off, you're fired. Because Edgeworth quit. Your services will no longer be required. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. That is a nice picture. She looks way better as a cop than she does as a prosecutor. Is that it, or is... Yep. Well, we have finally finished Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. There are 2 more games in this trilogy, the third of which is apparently 2.3 times the size of this one. And this one took me 44 hours to voice act through. Oh my god. I do want to do the other games in the series, but I'm not going to do it anytime soon. I am going to need a lengthy break after this one. So I don't know what the next game will be. I haven't picked it out yet, because we've been focusing so much on this one. We'll have to work it out in between streams. So there will be a new game next time. Thank you to everyone who has joined me through this monstrously epically long game. I hope I've been able to entertain people. I think my voice acting has improved over the past 44 hours, but that's up to you guys. Thank you to everyone who has joined me. So I hope I see you next stream, and I hope I see you next time with a new game here on Twitch and on YouTube. New episodes upload daily to the YouTube channel, 9 PM UK time. Thank you for joining me, take care, and goodbye.